Climb aboard the NFL Express with Charles Barr and John Chapman, your one stop for all 32 NFL teams and news from around the league.
Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party. What's up, John?
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
But I am ready for some football, man. I am. This is the worst month of the year.
Right.
I hate it. And, you know, we both work in education, quote unquote. And I hate this time, man. I hate it.
Yeah, it's rough. It's one of these things because you're like, well, if I wish for it too quickly, the summer's over, and that's a problem. But
Summer sucks, man. I would rather work year-round.
I know. If football were year-round, is what you're saying.
No. I'm a worker bee, man. I don't believe in retirement. I'm not going to live that long anyway. So
True.
No,
get these podcasts while they're available because
limited time frame. I'm no Brett Favre.
Very short peak period. But yeah, dude, I am like extremely excited about this year, and I can't wait, and I want to see how these pieces fit. And two, just because we've been studying the draft so much in the past few years, it's like it's more fruitful than ever. Like the appreciation for the sport and for all this stuff. So
respect.
Super pumped. So John, run through our listeners what we're doing this week.
Yeah, so we are going to continue our divisional breakdown of every division. We do this every year. I say that. This is our third time. But anyway, third annual, whatever. And so, yeah, if you want to go back and listen to the NFC East, we did that last week. You can go check that out. And today we're going to be breaking down the AFC East. So what we're going to do is go position group by position group and rank everybody in the AFC East in order. So quarterbacks, who has the best quarterback, numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll move on to running backs, wide receivers, O-line. We're breaking down the entire division, every position group, all today. And we'll kind of see how that goes. And just so the audience knows, all of you, three of you, we're doing this on the fly. Like, we purposefully don't prep for this so that we can get reactions and talk through and hash through it. So it's a little bit more authentic, not as fake as I usually am.
There you go. Not as fake as usual. Which position are we going to start with today, John?
So, I think we got to start at quarterback. And
Absolutely.
This division sucks. I do believe it is the worst division in all of football.
Okay.
Even whenever you take into effect the Patriots, Super Bowl winners, I get it. Man, those bottom three teams are exactly that, bottom three. And I hate this division. I hate it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more boring divisions, but again, that's a bit blasphemous. It does have one of my favorite franchises that's not my own franchise in the Bills. I just want to say, shout out to Bills fans. You guys are the realest fans. Every year that we go to the draft, dude, they're the most full-force fans that there are. And the reason I love Bills fans so much is because their team's generally not doing well, and they are as supportive when they're doing bad as when they're doing good. And honestly, that's a quality in a fan that I find very, very attractive. So.
Yeah, and even like the Antonio Brown stuff, right? So Antonio Brown gets traded to the Bills. He throws a conniption fit like a prima donna. Hell no, I ain't going there. And there was like no Bills backlash. They weren't out like boycotting or burning stuff. They were just like, oh yeah, that's fair. We get it. And that was
we get it.
Like, know who you are. And if I had to give up the 49ers, the Bills would be in my mentions. Like,
no, 100%. If I had to give up the Eagles and I were looking for another team, and San Fran falls in that category for me too, the Bills would be right there because I want a fan base. I want a team that people are committed to with passion regardless of wins and losses, just commitment to the team. So let's dive into this quarterback situation. Let's not play around because we already know who's number one. TB12, without a doubt, it's not even close. I mean, it's the most distant gap there is maybe in football. And so what's really important here is who's 2, 3, and 4. So I don't know if you want to start first or
it's interesting because all of these teams have second-year quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold. And, based on the draft order that went last year, it would go Darnold, then it would go Josh Allen, then it would go Rosen.
Yeah.
So it's interesting the way it goes. Now, having said all of those things, let me just back up real quick. I was very high on Josh Rosen, and I still am. However, I had this caveat, and I've been saying it since day one. If he goes to a team with a bad offensive line, he's going to suck. And, he gets drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, probably one of the worst offenses ever. I did an offensive line rankings segment, and I had the Cardinals 29th. Well, guess what team is dead last?
Yikes.
Miami Dolphins. So if I had to pick quarterbacks, I love me some Josh Rosen. He is done as far as I'm concerned just because of what he's surrounded with. It's the 32nd ranked offensive line in the NFL he is with. So I am going to put Josh Rosen, and man, I'm going to include Fitzmagic in that just because I would prefer the other two quarterbacks personally.
Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you my rankings, and they're different from yours. My rankings go like this. It goes Darnold number 2, and the reason that Darnold's number 2 is because he's kind of done more, obviously, than the other two. He's kind of proven a little bit more. I watched a little bit of film on him this week. There was a Jets game on, so I just wanted to kind of watch his progressions. He's out there doing his thing. I'm not sure how high his ceiling is overall. I actually don't think it's super high. I think he could be a good quarterback in this league. I don't think he's going to be an all-star. But I have Rosen at 3 and Josh Allen at 4. Now, again, love you Bills fans. Do not kill me. Okay, because I understand Josh Allen is a high ceiling player, 100%. I get that this guy is he could be right there next to Carson Wentz, right? Maybe, I guess. I don't know if he's that cerebral, if he stayed in the pocket that much, but he's got a lot of talent. But I'm still a believer in Rosen. I know that he's got a bad offensive line around him. But something about cerebral quarterbacks and quick releases sometimes offset those problems. And I like the long term on Josh Rosen more than I like Josh Allen. And I also, too, I'm just not really huge on the pieces that are around the Bills right now. So that's my ranking. So what was yours again, John?
So we're the same. I have Jets 2, Patriots 1. We just have flipped the Dolphins. So
okay.
I'm totally cool with that.
Okay, so
Charles gets tie-breaking vote, just so everybody understands at home. He is the man in charge.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same in every marriage, right? One person always wins. So
there you go. And since you can't win on the field, I allow you to win here.
That's right, absolutely. So next up is going to be running backs. And there was an amazing free agent acquisition that happened this spring, and
you're talking about Frank Gore. I know you're talking about Frank
Gore. Dang it, you got me. The ageless wonder. My God. So Le'Veon Bell for me is that clear number 1 in terms of talent. He's a top 10 player at any position in the NFL. He's not the most lovable player in the league, but just in terms of talent, there's not a guy in the running back group, in my opinion, that can compare to him. Thoughts?
Absolutely not. He, as much of a headache and drama queen and all those things he is unbelievable and very, very young. They don't have a lot behind him. Ty Montgomery, Elijah McGuire, Trenton Cannon, Bilal Powell, not a big fan. However, it doesn't matter. Le'Veon Bell is that stinking good. Yeah. And this is not a bad division for running backs. I think there is a huge fight for that 2-3 spot, and, man, they are legit. Buffalo's depth is unbelievable. Devin Singletary, one of my favorite running backs in this draft. Absolutely love that guy. They go get him. Plus, they have LaShawn McCoy. Plus, they have T.J. Yeldon in that third down role. Plus, they have Frank Gore, you look at Pro Football Focus, he was the number 12 running back last year. He has been so efficient. He's not really explosive, but he's among the leaders over the last 3 years in rush attempts over 4 yards. He gets 4 yards a carry every single play. So I do think somebody's going to be cut. It will be Frank Gore or LaShawn McCoy. I don't think they keep them all, trade or cut. But I do love this backfield. Devin Singletary's the future, but there's going to be something there. And the next backfield that I just absolutely adore, again, we're talking depth, man. The Patriots are freaking stacked. They have 5 running backs.
Obviously Sony's there, and then the Damian Williams pick. It was a guy who
Damien Harris,
shoot. Damien Harris, I was a guy who I was hoping the Eagles would snag, but just for them to go and pick him up on a whim, you kind of wonder what his role is going to be there, because James White is just so efficient at what he does, one of the best in the league at what he does, and you kind of think that that's what Damien Harris would try to embody. Do you think he's just kind of like the next guy?
I think that the 2 roles that are carved out completely is Sony Michel is going to be the between the tackles guy, which is hilarious because that wasn't really what he was in college. He did it some for sure, but he was more of a perimeter guy. Mm-hmm. James White's going to be the pass catcher. And then Damian Harris, I think, is going to take over for Rex Burkhead. Now, the thing about Damian Harris that makes him so special is he can do a little bit of everything. And this is what the Patriots do. Fantasy-wise, who the hell do you go with here? My ranking of them would be Sony Michel, James White, Damian Harris, huge gap, Rex Burkhead, then Brandon Bolden. Brandon Bolden's still there. That dude,
right.
He's been around. But, you've got 4 to 5 guys that are just legit. And they're not going to miss a beat. They run the ball so well and so often. Great offensive line. For me, I'm putting the Patriots second here. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I have too. So I got Jets 1, Patriots 2, Bills 3, and then Dolphins 4. And I'll tell you why Drake and Ballage are at the bottom for me. I honestly think that Drake in other places, Kenyon Drake in other teams, could be a way more productive and efficient running back. The Dolphins do not know how to use them.
Yeah, they don't. Well, the thing that's interesting is everything's going to change because Adam Gase, in his terrible, one of the worst, he's the worst head coach in football, I'll just say that, has left Miami, and now he's with the Jets. So he stayed within the division, and defensive coordinator for the Patriots is now the head coach of Miami. So they stayed within the division too. So there's some moving chairs there. However, not any new faces. So I really do think that things are going to be better in Miami. I do like Kalen Ballage as far as just his raw kind of ability, but Drake is the guy there. I hope.
Yeah. Well, athleticism-wise, he's got it in spades over Ballage, in my opinion. Just watching them both run. Ballage, whatever.
I'm the guy that mispronounces
Stop taking
things.
French.
You can't mispronounce things, too. I'm the mispronouncer.
Bellagio. But anyway, so unique New York. But Drake is absolutely, his athleticism is stupid. He's just an underrated running back in a bad system. Put him somewhere else. That guy would be a monster in Seattle. He'd take over that running back spot. No shots at Chris Carson. But I'm just saying, he'd be a monster there. So right now, in terms of the running back, we got Jets 1, Pats 2, Bills 3, Dolphins 4. Moving on to me, this was the most. This was one of the more difficult things when I was just thinking about it earlier. I'm like, God, this is probably the least dynamic skill position wide receiver tight end group in the NFL. Maybe
there's nothing there, man.
You put them all together. Now, if we're ranking divisions against each other, this is last.
Yeah, for sure. Skill positions, dead last. Outside of quarterback.
Right. So I'll just go ahead and jump in with I'll just say who my number 1 is. See if you agree or you don't. Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, Jamison Crowder. What a great pickup this offseason. Josh Bellamy. And the reason I have them there is just because they're the most complete. in Herndon. So they have a tight end actually who's got some skill. Man, I've been watching some of his stuff.
I think they have
minicamp.
News just came out he's going to be suspended first 2 games, Chris Herndon. But I love Trayvon Wesco as well, tight end that they drafted this year. Great receiving threat. I had them number 1 as well.
Look at that.
Wow, look at that. And that's not really something to tout with pride.
Right.
However, they're not the weakest.
Right.
It's so bad, man. So this one stood out to me for weakest.
Okay.
It's Miami, the Dolphins again.
Oh, so you have them last?
I have them dead last.
See, I
by
don't.
a lot.
Go ahead.
So Mike Gesicki is their tight end, who was an absolute bust last year. I kept talking last year. We talked about this a lot. Like, he is not a football player. He's an athlete, and it just was trash all year. And then wide receivers, Devontae Parker, hell no. Kenny Stills, all right, I'm cool with that. They do have 2 slot guys in Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant, but there's nothing there. There's just nothing there.
All right, so I'll go ahead and push back on you a little bit. There is nothing there, but that cupboard, if we were searching cupboards like in Walking Dead, at least has a few like cans in it, they've been half eaten out of. This other cupboard that I'm about to talk about has nothing in it.
So
okay?
You're saying that the Dolphins is like a high school kid telling a mother, "We don't have anything to eat at home, Mom," and Mom's like, "No, we do. There's stuff there."
We do. We got some leftover PB&J from yesterday, but this right here, this Bills group. John Brown, Zay Jones, Cole Beasley, I get it, he's fine, and Robert Foster, and then their tight end is Tyler Kroft.
I like Tyler Kroft.
How is Josh Allen going to be successful with those skill players around him? And I'll take Devontae Parker and Stills and backup tight end Dwayne Allen over... hey, I'm sorry. You say, I'm taking Dwayne Allen over Tyler Kroft. I am.
Dwayne Allen had 2 targets last year.
That doesn't matter. I don't care.
He can't block. I could say that. Like, he is a good blocking tight end. That's all he will be used for. However, man, we could talk trash against Buffalo, but undrafted free agent Robert Foster last year was a deep threat beast. John Brown. It's been documented his sickle cell stuff.
Right.
But whenever that's not acting up, he is legit. I do think that, I'll say this. I love how Buffalo is building their offense with scraps, but scraps that fit. And so you've got a couple guys that can get possession wide receivers, Zay Jones and Cole Beasley, and then you've got a couple deep threats. And so they're going to be very, very run heavy. And I don't like this team. And I don't like this team of wide receivers is what I'm saying. So I'm cool with that. You want to put them dead last? I'm cool with that. Both these teams suck.
You know what? I honestly, that one I'll give to you. That one we can trade off there because I love my Bills fans. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it. I'm going to go ahead.
The funny thing is, last 2. Or maybe a quarterback and wide receiver. We disagreed on who should be last between these 2 teams.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do this several times again, which leaves us with the number 2 team. And, this is the Patriots. I think they're closer to the Jets than they are the Bills or the Dolphins.
Yep, agree.
Their tight end position is the worst in the entire NFL by far. They were hoping ASJ would be a stopgap, but he went full ASJ, and so he's gone. Benjamin Watson's there now. However, there is a lot of talent at that wide receiver core at the top. Yep. Julian Edelman, you've got their new first-round draft pick, N'Keal Harry. That alone is great. Josh Gordon's a huge question mark if he comes back. Demaryius Thomas, if he does come back, I don't think he does, maybe for the playoffs. And then Braxton Berrios, that's a guy that I really do think is going to get some meaningful snaps this year.
And Inman.
Yeah, Dontrell Inman, I'm not the biggest fan. Philip Dorsett, we've seen that one play over. Jacoby Myers is another player outside of NC State, just a huge speed guy. The only problem is they can't throw him the ball because Tom Brady can't throw the ball very deep. So... jet sweep guy at best. So I got the final order for wide receiver tight end: Jets 1, Pats 2, Bills 3, Dolphins, subterranean.
Gotcha. So let's go ahead and move into the O-line. I'm going to let you have a little bit more of the reins here because you put in all that work. I'm going to take a wild shot in the dark here that Patriots are number 1 in this group.
Patriots are number 1 in this division, and Patriots are number 1 in the NFL. And they were number 1 last year, and I think they actually got better. They lost Trenton Brown. However, they get Isaiah Wynn back, who was their first-round pick last year, who I don't remember if it was Achilles or an ACL, but he's back. They draft Yadni Kajust, who's awesome. They get, this is one of my favorite names, Hjalte Froholt. Out of Denmark, I believe. So they spent a lot of draft capital there. They're going to be unbelievable. Joel Thuney could play left tackle, left guard. He could play every spot. They are legit, man. So Patriots are number 1 in the NFL. Then there's a dramatic drop. So again, just my order based on all 32 teams. I have the Bills at 24. They're the next highest. Yikes is correct. They go out and they draft Cody Ford, who was the right tackle at Oklahoma, and I think they're going to push him to guard. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that, which is an interesting play there, especially when you have a guy who, on the right side, he showed some athleticism, so he's kind of a guy who you'd want on that side for Josh Allen, who's constantly leaving the pocket.
And so, here's the deal with Cody Ford. He's a hellacious run blocker. And he is legit. A lot of draft scouts said he probably will play inside. I personally would prefer him at right tackle. I mean, you take somebody with the number 38 overall pick, that's fine. But they're additions. They added Mitch Morse at center, Spencer Long, who could play center guard, Quentin Spain, who could play center guard, John Feliciano, who could play center guard. They're just going with very versatile pieces because if you remember a year ago and 2 years ago, they had 4 injuries on their starting offensive line, and they threw their hands up and said, fuck it. We want guys that can play anywhere. I don't care. And so they got a bunch of very versatile guys. So I've got them number 2. We dropped down to number 30 overall, and that's the Jets. Oh, my gosh, man. I don't know what the hell they are doing. They lost 2 starters, and James Carpenter and Spencer Long, who went to the Bills we just talked about. They're awful, man. They are just awful. They get Kelechi Osemele. They traded for him, which is awesome, but he's coming off his worst year ever. KO is what they call him. I hate this group. I hate this coach. I hate the Jets. And dead last in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins again, and I don't think it's close, man. They're so bad. Jawan James, who's not good, was their best player, left. So, I mean, they are just absolutely abysmal. Laramie Tunsil's still there, which he's a starting left tackle. He has not lived up to the hype at all, and he is surrounded by trash. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts, man? Agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, well, I agree completely. It's interesting how fast the Dolphins fell off because I want to say it was 2-3 years ago. You looked at that O-line, and you're like, this O-line could challenge the Dallas Cowboys. When Tunsil came in, he was playing pretty good, and they just had some pieces across that O-line, and it just absolutely fell apart like train wreck. Where did all these guys go? And now they're one of the worst, and it takes a long time to build O-line. This isn't something you can do in a year or two because of how the cap works. You've got to spend it in other places. So you really have to invest in the draft, and they haven't. So
they were the only team in 2018 draft to not draft an offensive or defensive lineman. So out of all 32 teams, they just chose not to draft in the trenches at all. And so they did get somebody in the 3rd round this year. They traded their 2nd-round pick to get their quarterback, Josh Rosen, but they're tanking, man. I'm telling you this right now. Whatever the odds are in Vegas for a 1st-round pick next year, put it on the Dolphins.
Well, that means that Tua's going to be there? Anyways, I don't know.
Yep, that's who they like.
Poor Josh Rosen. Moving on to defensive line, I think we might have some differences here. So, I don't know. I'm just going to jump into number 1. All right?
All right.
I chose this because I felt that when I looked at their group, and I just included depth there and more complete players across the line, I have the Bills as number one. I like Trent Murphy, Jerry Hughes, Ed Oliver, and again, just some names I won't drop, but there was just some other guys that I felt really comfortable with their depth. So I don't know how far off we are.
So if we're going to talk about interior, we've got to start with the Jets.
Right, I know, but they've got the Jets. Where's their edge pressure?
They don't have it, and so they're running a 3-4. They're switching to a 3-4 scheme.
Yeah.
But their front three in Leonard Williams, Henry Anderson, and Quinnen Williams is maybe the best in the NFL.
Yeah.
Not to mention Nathan Shepard, who used to be your boy, and Steve McClendon are definitely decent players as well. The problem is, you're right, the edge is abysmal. Ja'Kai Polite, what are you going to do there? Brandon Copeland, Jordan Jenkins, just no. So as far as, they're kind of doing themselves a disservice. I think they're built better for a 4-3. But
so do I.
For some reason, Greg Williams wanted to change it. He's always been a 4-3 coach. It's probably an Adam Gase thing. Adam Gase just ruins fucking everything.
It's like too, if you're gonna run a 4-3, where does Ja'Kai Polite work in? He doesn't. He doesn't. You've got to run a 4 or a 3-4.
You could do a wide 9 with him, but again, he hasn't done that very often. Again, Myles Garrett came out and said, man, Greg Williams, he would only let me do 3 things. And I'm so glad he's gone. Now I get to actually do different pass rush moves. He's just – you talk about the worst personality and human being coaches. You get Adam Gase and you get Greg Williams, and they are together. So
holy God. I somehow forgot that's where Greg Williams was. I hate him. He's the worst coach personality.
He makes me want to take a shower every time I see him.
I just want to punch him. I want to fight him. Anyways, so it sounds like we have maybe some discrepancy there. Maybe to make you feel more comfortable, Jets are my number 2, simply because Quinnen Williams, I do think that he is more Fletcher Cox than Aaron Donald. I think that he's going to be a beast in the inside, and teams have been able to really focus in on Leonard. I like a breakout year for Leonard in terms of actual sacks and forced fumbles. They've always double teamed this guy. I don't think that they're going to be able to do that. There's too much internal pressure now. Problem is there's no external pressure, which means that teams are probably going to move the pocket on them a lot of rollouts if their quarterbacks can do that and just neutralize that strength that they have.
Yeah.
My number 3 team is the Patriots. The addition of Michael Bennett is just, hey man, what can I say? The guy showed up for my Eagles after week 8, because around week 7, I'm like, okay, why did we give up all this for him? He's not doing really anything. Dude, he shot out of a cannon. And he shot out of a cannon all the way through into the playoffs. So if he can show up for the Patriots like he did for the Eagles, man, it's just going to be a problem.
And they drafted Chase Winovich in the second round, which I thought was a steal. So they have a lot of guys. The Patriots, they're one of those teams that say, all right, you do this one thing well, we're not going to ask you to do anything else. They maximize their players' value and talent, which they have done for a very, very long time. I'm with you. The only difference I have, I love the Bills. They add Ed Oliver. Their depth is great. But these top 3 teams are interchangeable, I think, in this one. I would have the Jets 1, Bills 2, Pats 3. But I do not have a problem with Bills, Jets, Pats.
Yeah.
But again, sticking with the theme of this episode, there is no debate over who is dead last.
I mean, I will say this. In typical Dolphins fashion, though, they always have one guy who just becomes a superstar, and you just don't even.
Who's it going to be?
Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins is a stud. He was part of that insane defensive line at Clemson, and he started from a true freshman. I mean, the kid's just so elite. The problem is he has never faced a double team in his college career. Yeah. He was always surrounded by top 10 talent. Now he's the guy. And so there's nobody else you need to double team on this offense. Charles Harris is their best edge guy.
Yikes.
And he is not good at football. So this team sucks, man.
Yeah, this team sucks. Quick question, though. One guy I was really pumped about, it was either last year, year before, Derek Rivers. That's another guy for the Pats that could come and show up just based on his athleticism, what he brings to the table. What are your thoughts on him?
I was pretty pissed when they drafted him, like in the third round. I think I had a late first, early second round grade on him. And I just remember like throwing my hands up, like, what the hell is wrong with the NFL?
Right.
He gets injured. He misses the whole season. He came out last year. He did not play well. 97 total snaps and was not very productive whatsoever. But he is a guy now that's going to get the opportunity. With Trey Flowers leaving, there is a role there. So him or Shalik Calhoun, I think any of those guys, they're going to have a chance to step up. I do think Chase Winovich starts day one, him and Michael Bennett. But Derek Rivers or Shalik Calhoun, those are the guys that are going to have to do something.
I will say, though, and that the Patriots are, though, dangerously close, though, because of, like, without Michael Bennett, though, they're clearly number 3. But with Michael Bennett, I agree, they're interchangeable. I don't see the type of dynamics that the Bills and the Jets have without him. He's the difference maker on that defensive line, in my opinion.
All right. I like it.
So, moving into linebacker, let me just hop in with some Bills love right off the bat. You guys are number 1, in my opinion. Do you disagree, John?
No, I don't think that you can really go wrong there. There's so much. Lorenzo Alexander's amazing. Tremont Edmonds, who graded out poorly, that kid's a freak, and he's going to be a star for a very, very long time.
Yep.
They go out and they draft Rashawn Joseph, who middle linebacker class out of the draft was trash this year outside of the top 2 players, both the Devons, Devin White, Devin Bush. But Rashawn Joseph can play. Matt Milano's not bad either. This is a very solid linebacker core that gets the benefit behind playing one of the better, your number 1 D-line. So they're going to be able to clean up, and it just works very, very well. The only reason why I would hesitate is the Patriots got a decent linebacker core. Dante Hightower, Mr. Playoffs,
yeah,
when he's playing, he's one of the best linebackers and game changers in the business. They go back. Jamie Collins goes back. You remember they traded him away, collected the draft capital. He, whatever with the Browns. He's back. Yeah. Kyle Van Noy is legit more of an edge guy. They've got players.
Collins
Eldon Roberts
back?
is not bad. Yeah, Jamie Collins. They got him for free.
Holy God.
So they're not bad.
You know what? I didn't realize that they had him. I was on Our Lads. I didn't see his name. But anyways,
he had a bad year last year. So
yeah, but God, he's misused, I'm sure. So, all right, I'm willing to change that up. I'm willing to go Pat's 1. What?
No,
what?
No. I think you're right.
It?
I do think that's the competition. I think it's between Buffalo and New England. But okay. I'm going Bills. I'm going Bills 1.
Here's why, too. I know Hightower is he's very good linebacker. I don't care about the grade. Tremaine Edmonds, holy God. The guy covers the field. He hits. He's just unbelievable. And Lorenzo, he's the real deal, man. He is a difference maker on the field. I think he's kind of got as man, you're going to fight me on this, but I think he's kind of every bit as good as Hightower. Maybe Hightower's got the edge on him a bit, but I love that linebacker.
He graded out a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better. He's the number 7 linebacker according to Pro Football Focus. And I think these last 2 groups, again, Jets versus the Dolphins.
Yikes.
I think the Jets won this one in free agency.
Right, absolutely.
They paid out the wazoo for C.J. Mosley, who is a good linebacker. I think he's outside the top 10, but he's good.
I'm going to tell you why he makes sense in this defense, though. And why he makes sense in this defense is because the secondary makes up for the things that he lacks, right? He's the enforcer on the inside. He's going to be more the guy. They don't have any edge pressure, but those guys will take on those offensive linemen, at least hold them as blocks. And Mosley's just going to play cleanup all day. And can you imagine taking a hit from Jamal Adams and Mosley just the same time? Like, you might just get sent to a different universe. So I agree with you. I looked at the depth for the Jets. No other names are, there's no stars per se, but even the depth that they have looks better than what the Dolphins have. Even though I love Kiko, I can't even say his name.
Alonso.
Kiko. Oh my God, he was on the Eagles too. Kiko,
shame upon your house.
Shame upon my house, and shame upon Chip Kelly for using him so poorly. He made the guy look like one of the worst linebackers in the league, and then he goes to the Dolphins.
Yeah, but you gave up LaShawn for him.
I didn't want to talk about that.
That hurt, didn't it? That hurt. That was mean? Was that mean?
That just a little bit, okay? Keep it nice. All right. So right now we've got the Bills at 1, the Pats at 2, Jets at 3, and the Dolphins just very consistent 4. They're at 4.
So far, the Dolphins have ranked last in every single category except for quarterback.
And they could have. And if not for John, they would have.
They would have straight last place in every single category.
Straight last place. I got, spoiler alert, they're not last place in the secondary.
Look at that.
That's
so nice of you.
Yeah, they're not.
So let's give them some positive love. Let's talk this out, man. Go ahead. Tell me what you like about the Dolphins.
I'm just saying, first of all, I think the biggest surprise that showed up on anybody's phone this entire free agency was an extension the size of Mount Everest for Howard, their corner.
I love Xavier Howard.
Yeah, but what was it was big money though, right?
Yes, it was a lot. I don't have the exact numbers, but I will shortly.
I want to say it's top 10 money, right? I'm not sure if he's a top 10 corner. He may be.
5-year, $75 million.
How much guaranteed?
Contract. Guaranteed, only 39.
Okay. Not terrible.
Yeah, they actually left a potential out at 2022, where they can get out pretty cheap. So this is a very front-heavy deal where the cap space is front-loaded big time.
Yeah. He's a good corner. You got TJ McDonald there, who I like. I know his grades aren't always the best. I like him. And Minka is just, he's going to be an all-pro one day. And he's just a stud. And so I like...
The problem I'm going to have with Minka is let him play a spot. He played corner, safety, and nickel, and some linebacker, which you could argue was nickel, last year. And he's really good, but he graded out as the 82nd overall corner player. The kid is special, but get the hell out of his way. Get out of his way.
And every time I turned on, every time I watch the Dolphins, blah. But he's a difference maker on that defense, man. I mean, I don't, sometimes the grades, they're good for like what their assignment is, but sometimes those guys get in those positions and you just start doing what you got to do to win or to at least survive. And he's kind of in one of those, you see the talent, you see him jumping these routes, you see him with his recovery skills, all that, man, it's elite. So he's just going to be up there. So
I do like Rashad Jones a lot too. I know there was some trade / holdout, whatever, but he is a legit starting safety.
Yeah, so I like them at 3. I will tell you my 3 and my 4, and then we can.
You have them at 3. Good. I was hoping you weren't going to say number 1.
No, they're 3 for sure. My number 4 is the Patriots.
Whoa.
I have them last.
This is a pretty stout. Man, last? They got 2 top 6 corners, man.
Who's the other? Well, they got Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore, then the McCourty brothers. So Jason McCourty plays opposite corner
I know.
Gilmore. Yeah, then Devin is safety, plus Patrick Chung.
That's my issue. Yeah, that's my issue.
They go draft Joejuan Williams, who's a big old tall corner.
Okay.
This is a tough group, though. I'll say that. Like, the secondary for this division is pretty spot on. Bill Belichick has spent more first-round picks on corners, twice as a matter of fact as any other team in the NFL since he took over.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't like them as the McCourty brothers are aging. Patrick Chung plays well in that system. You put him in another system and he's just...
All right, let's talk about the other teams and we'll hash this out later.
Okay, we'll hash that out later. I've got the Jets at number 1 and the Bills at number 2.
Whoa, number 1 for the Jets?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I have the Bills at number 1 and the Jets at 2.
All right, let's talk about the Jets.
Yeah,
because their safeties, you could argue,
best
safeties in the NFL. Jamal Adams is unbelievable. If you do have NFL Game Pass, they do a film session with a player about once every 3 weeks. The most recent one was Jamal Adams. I watched it twice already. It came out a week ago. He is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He plays like my favorite safety ever, Brian Dawkins.
And they talk about that on there, and he compares himself to them. Like, that's who he looked up to.
His shoulder, just when he's coming in, it's so reminiscent how Brian Dawkins used just to lean in because he had such strong shoulders, such massive shoulders. It just used to put big boys down, TJ Duckett's down on the ground. Just used to lay him out, and he's so great still in zone. And that's what Dawkins was. So I love him.
So here's my question though.
Okay,
their corners, you got some question marks, man.
Tremaine Johnson.
I'm cool with Tremaine. I don't like him. He's a locker room issue. He's a hell of a player, but he's not. I don't consider him an elite corner. I consider him a starting corner.
Okay, so let me jump to the Bills for a second, and it's the reason that they're my number 1 is Tre'Davious White, who I wish the Eagles would have drafted.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
He didn't have as good of a year as he did his rookie year, but you've got him and Levi Wallace, who is just freaking awesome, Teron Johnson, and then you get to safeties, and guess what? They're still good. Micah Hyde, unbelievable.
Yep, and Jordan Poyer's no slouch. I don't care. I know. He's not.
I have these guys number 1.
Yeah, no, they're my number 1. Bills is 1, Jets is 2, Dolphins 3, Patriots 4. You can listen. Let's hash this out. Let me hear what your rankings.
I think Stephon Gilmore I think he's the best corner in the league right now. I think he's number 1. Jason McCourty's not bad. Duke Dawson's not bad. No, I am okay. I cannot put the Patriots last on this list. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't do it.
All right. I will work with you there.
I would take the Patriots over the Jets personally because I value cornerbacks over safeties.
We're gonna have a tough time here. We're gonna have a real tough time because if we're gonna move anybody down, it's got to be the Dolphins to 4. I'm willing to put the Patriots to 3, or put the Jets to 3.
You want to put the Dolphins at 2? I'm cool with that. So what if we do...
No, they can't go up. They can only go down. They can't compete.
I think, man, I'm typing the Patriots at 2. I don't give a shit what you say.
No. In the beginning, Charles is the tiebreaker. Okay.
Not now. I let you have all the other ones. I just want the dog. You get
Fine.
The house and the car and the
That's
kids.
fine.
I just want the dog.
So it goes Bills 1, Pats 2, Jets 3, Dolphins. I'm sorry, guys. You're 4
this is
again.
just yes.
Yeah, it's the way it should be.
Yes. Oh my gosh, man.
I'm sorry. When you got so much age going on in your secondary, they can't be number 1. Not compared to the Bills, in my opinion. I can't. I'm not taking that secondary if I'm getting the chance to have.
I'm
the
okay
secondary.
with that.
I get Gilmore is elite, but how much more elite is he than Tre'Davious White? They're really different kind of corners.
He's unbelievable, man. You watch that Super Bowl, that kid shut it down.
No, I know. He did a good job. All right, so I don't know if you have your totals.
I am totaling now.
Okay, so
the
let me
best
just talk.
thing is the Bills. The Bills are hilarious. I mean, the Dolphins.
Yes. So let me just say, you let me know when you're ready, that I think that the person who I'm most interested in this year and who I'm going to be watching in this division is Josh Allen. He's a guy who right now he holds all of the Bills, their hearts in his hands. And if the guy does not perform, it's just going to feel like more of the same. I'm kind of rooting on him, although his film in college, I wasn't high on him. There's definitely, if you go back and I'm always watching old games on NFL Network, and I've recorded a bunch too. I tell you what, he's got to keep his eyes down the field a bit longer. He's got to read through his progressions a bit more and not try to bounce out of the pocket so often. But God, if that guy can get a little bit more cerebral, he's just going to be a force. So he doesn't have a ton of tools around him too. So what are we going to do? Is Josh Allen going to be a top 15 QB with a bottom end skill position roster? Unless Devin Singletary just comes out and is a monster for them. I don't know if they're going to do that with the 24th ranked offensive line, though. It's hard to see how Josh Allen has worthy numbers for people to consider him to be the future. So, but still, pulling for him. All right, so what are our totals looking like?
So our totals are interesting, and they're much closer than I would have guessed. So again, if we just stay with the whole idea of, every team is ranked 1, 2, 3, or 4, we accumulate that total at the end. It's very similar to golf scoring. The lower, the better. And I'll just read through the entire numbers for each team and their total.
Gotcha.
So last place, Dolphins. Okay, third, fourth.
Yikes.
So yeah, they ended up with 27 points if my math is right, which I did while talking. So if they're wrong, that's okay. Screw you. Jets finished third, but again, the difference is very huge between the Dolphins and the Jets. So the Jets 2-1-3, 2-3-3-3. They ended up with 17 points, so 10 points better than last place Dolphins, and the top two are just 1 point different. The Bills finished with 14, whereas the Patriots finished with 13. The Bills actually had more first place votes than the Patriots did. And looking at this, I want to say maybe we should account for head coaches.
Well, that and absolutely, because here's the deal. Patriots fans, the rational Patriots fans I love, but they're just far and few between.
Yeah, I've met very few. Shout out Corey, here about the only one, man.
Yeah, there's a few. Ian, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
But, the thing is that's what Bill Belichick does. He takes people's, quote-unquote trash, and he turns it into his treasure. He uses it. And he just outperforms everybody else. On paper, I stand by that. First of all, they're still number one. But they're at 13. I'm taking that all day long. So, yeah. What are your thoughts?
So just to put this into perspective of the division we already broke down, the Eagles won the NFC West with 12. So and the Cowboys were at 14. So that just kind of puts everything into perspective. And the Redskins, who we thought were awful, had 24 points. I don't think there's going to be anybody rated worse than the Dolphins with 27.
Is there any other way the Dolphins don't finish dead last in the NFL? Who's going to compete with the Dolphins to finish dead last?
The Redskins.
I don't know. That defense is okay. That defense is going to win some games for them.
Man, that's a good question because there's some bad teams. Arizona was bad, but I think they're going to have a slight uptick. The Giants are going to be bad, but they still have some stud pieces there. Cincinnati's pretty rough, but, man, they've got some pieces there. Tampa Bay, maybe? Oakland?
Bay? No. Oakland's going to surprise some folks, not in the first 8 weeks of the season, but after that it's going to be an implosion. Yeah. First 8 weeks, people are going to think that Derek Carr is back, but he's not. Tampa Bay is interesting. I think Jameis Winston and them slightly do a little bit better with that head coach. But
Detroit?
Again, it's Brian. Detroit? Yeah, especially if these injuries about Matthew Stafford, they are true, but if he's not healed. He didn't really look like himself last year, but boy, if he comes back and The only issue was that he just was dealing with injuries. Kenny Galladay and those guys could have quite a year. So no, Dolphins are really, really, really bad.
Really bad.
Really bad. Well, man, next week, who are we breaking down?
We got the NFC West, and we'll be doing a double-up episode. So we will feature next week's episode on my 49ers Rush podcast and on here as well. So you guys don't need to do anything different. But, yeah, we're going to be breaking down the NFC West. So that's what we got next.
All right, man. Peace.